Welcome to Permission to Thrive. I'm your host, Suzi Lula. As a spiritual therapist for over 20 years, I have the honor and privilege of ushering women and mothers just like you on a journey from simply surviving to powerfully thriving. I also have the honor of raising our son, Will, who is now a young adult, with my longtime partner, Jamie, so I'm right there on the journey with you. Consider this your personal sanctuary, your space to meet your heart, embrace your messy, and come home to your most authentic, extraordinary self. My hope is that you leave resourced and inspired because you are here to shine. Welcome to Permission to Thrive. Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Permission to Thrive. I'm Suzi Lula. I'm so happy to be with you all, and I have a very special treat because I have three of my soul psychology coaches, colleagues, dear friends with me. I can't wait to tell you why and how we all got together to do this episode with you all. But this episode is around the power and the practice of retreating, giving ourselves permission as women, as individuals, to take time to and for ourselves and our own journey to that end. And so today I have with me Ama Baron, I have Joy Madden, Lori Edelston, and I also want to presence and reference Keno LaPlaca, and I will tell you why in a moment, but she is definitely part of our group and our team. And the way and the reason we all came together for this episode is because, as some of you know, I am doing my very first in-person retreat in October in Los Angeles. And so these beautiful individuals came together and offered to support me around the retreat, around the planning of the retreat and during the retreat weekend. And so we have been meeting every Friday, and these beautiful individuals come together. And in addition to supporting me with the retreat, because we really want to hit this out of the park and to provide and create this weekend that is going to be so deep, so transformational, greater than you could possibly imagine. And in addition to planning, we have a lot of fun together on the meetings. And we got to talking last week about our own journeys around giving ourselves permission to go take an entire weekend to ourselves, and or simply taking 10 minutes to ourselves in the middle of a day, saying yes to someone when we really mean no, how to say no when we mean no. So all in the neighborhood of retreating, of caring for ourselves. And as women, we're so conditioned to put ourselves last on the list, if we even make it to the list at all. So if you're listening and you are on a journey of how to care for yourself, how to move yourself maybe from a space of exhaustion and overwhelm to how can I put myself on my own list? How can I make caring for myself something that I honor, that is important, that is sacred in the midst of our busy lives? That's what we're here to talk to you about. We hope that our own journeys can inspire you wherever you are on your own journey. So welcome, sit back, relax. And then we'll just go around in a circle, so to speak, and share our journey. Joy, do you want to jump in, and anything that you want to share either about where you are on your journey, where you've come from, giving yourself permission to take care of yourself?
First of all, thank you for having me. I'm so excited personally about the retreat. So excited to be here today. And I absolutely love this conversation because whenever we have it, it's a reminder for me, oh yeah, I'm here. I'm here. My kids are just not here. My friendships are just not here. My volunteer job is just not here, that I get to be here and I get to be present. I have to tell you a little funny. My son was here this past weekend, and I don't see him often. He comes a couple of times a month. And on Saturday, we woke up that morning, had some coffee, laying on the couch with him. Before I knew it, it was 2:30, and I'm still in my pajamas. And I say that like, yay me. And I think I must have said 10 times that day, oh my God, I feel so guilty. Oh my God, I should be doing something. Oh my God, I need to go do that. And even my son, who is 17, looks at me and says, Mom, do you have to do anything right now? Like, are you going to like go to jail if you don't go do this one thing? Like, do you have to? And I was like, it's so hard for me to retreat. It's so hard for me to give myself 10 minutes, a few hours. And yet I can't wait for this retreat in LA. Like, I never do this for myself, like ever. And to get to meet so many people that I feel like I know already, but haven't seen face to face, and get jealous of all your local retreats that you guys do. I think through my work with you, Suzi, and through just this community, y'all give me the permission to do this for myself. Even when it's hard for me to give my own self the permission, I can like hook onto yours and you give me the permission. And I trust that, and I believe in that. So I think that's one thing that helps me the most, if that makes
I,
sense.
I love that. I'll start there and then go backwards. I love that we're conditioned either by our own family, by our own cultures in different ways. You were referencing and saying, I even feel guilty to this day, even with my son saying, you don't have to feel guilty. We're so imprinted, we're so indoctrinated. And I think that that's a really important point, is that we're not meant to give ourselves permission in a vacuum, that often another mom, another woman, another being can say, girl, it's okay. Take 5 minutes, take 10 minutes, do this stretch here. Oh, and the reason that reminds me of why I wanted to even bring Kenna LaPlaca's name into this is because I really first wanted to honor that she isn't physically with us on this episode, but she is very much an integral part of our team that's supporting this retreat. And just before we were getting ready to record, she had texted us saying that she has something personal that she needs to tend to with her own self, her own emotions, her own life, and how important it is as women, as anyone, to be able to say that and to know that you are supported in absolutely take care of yourself first. Take care of yourself first. And it felt so good to be able to say to her, take care of yourself first. I wanted to presence her because it really speaks to what you're saying, Joy, that often it's another friend or another woman or another coach or another someone in our orbit that can reflect back to us. Oh my gosh, give yourself this permission. I know it can be hard, but when I give it to myself, I always feel better on the other side. Hopefully, Heno feels good on the other side, feeling us so supporting her. But it just goes to show that our culture tells us, don't put yourself on the list. Don't put yourself first. Don't stay in your pajamas till 2:30 in the afternoon. And if God forbid you do stay in your pajamas till 2:30 in the afternoon, you should feel guilty about it. That's our indoctrination. And that's why we want to have this conversation. Oh my gosh, how luxurious to stay in your pajamas until 2:30. And what do we know? What do our children need from us more than anything else? Our presence. What did Parker need from you more than anything else? You being right with him on the couch. It's your presence. And so giving yourself that permission is so beautiful. You gave him what he needed and you received what you needed. So can so relate. Hope all of you listening can so relate. Amma, anything you want to jump in and share about your own journey? I know also your cultural imprint has also played a part in you being able to give yourself permission to care for yourself, but anything you want to jump in and share?
Yes, Susie, thank you so much. And thank you, Joy, for that. I also feel so honored to be here. I love the women here, I just adore you. And I just feel I'm coming into my heart anytime we get together, either to plan the retreat or to have a class. So I just want to say thank you first and foremost, because this is really a circle and a community that honors what we're practicing, what we're learning. So none of it stays up here. Everything is practiced. We are all embodying it, and we support each other as we go through learning to integrate these new ways of being, really. And I totally get what Joy is saying. In terms of my upbringing, as soon as I was listening to Susie and Joy, I kept hearing the voices of my grandmothers, my mom, my aunts, and the instruction verbatim when I was a little girl was, you have to serve the men. You have to let them rest, serve them, offer them coffee, offer them something to drink. And as a child, it didn't register. I'm like obedient, trying to be a responsible young girl is going to cater and tend to everybody else's needs. Don't you dare sit down because you're not being a responsible young girl or a responsible young woman. And I've carried that,
Mm.
and it has cultivated a very strong work ethic, I must say. Every job that I've had, when I quit, my bosses like literally have cried. They're like, no, don't leave. But by the time I quit, because I'm so burned out. And so it's taken a minute, and it's really taken you, Susie, this community to give myself permission to take a breath. Ama. And I still remember your words, to counterbalance the other voices, always from the overflow.
Mm.
Always share from the overflow. Otherwise, you're not sharing. That's not a share. Everyone has to win, right? And always never at my detriment.
Mm.
Never if it's going to hurt me in any way or deplete me in any way. So at the beginning, I've been working with you for like 15 years. In the beginning, I had to mentally force myself to pause and really examine, is this depleting me? Is this not letting me breathe? Or is this just a mechanical response to the conditioning? And I'm so grateful, because every time I come to a class, I come to a circle, I come to anything, you always bring us back. You always bring us back to that center. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying. We've all had these very deep imprints, and we all, especially women, and when you think of us as young little girls, we are taught to be a nice girl, to be a good girl, to be a compliant girl. I know Joy was raised in the South, and she and I share that as well. Be a good girl, do as you're told. So I can really relate to what you're sharing about serve the men and be a good girl, be a compliant girl, do what you're told, do what you're asked. And then cut to becoming a woman. Well, why am I overwhelmed? Why am I feeling exhausted? Because I've been told be a good girl, serve other people. And I always say we need to, as adults, learn to differentiate the voice of culture and the voice of this universe, because the universe is not telling us to serve another to our own detriment. The universe is saying true serving another is from an overflow. So I appreciate what you're saying, but sometimes the journey of having to break down, then, like Joy also was saying, we feel guilty. We feel like we're not being a good, quote, wife or a good, quote, mother. And we've been trained to be that good girl. So it is a journey. And it's why I have a deep bow for anyone who is courageous enough to go on the journey, whether or not you're planning or thinking about coming to this particular October retreat, which we hope you do. And on that note, it's reminding me of a couple of individuals that I'm talking to this week who have emailed me, who are listeners from the podcast, saying they don't know anyone here in this community, but they're feeling really called to come. And I'm talking to them this week and a few of you. So if you're listening and you don't even know anyone, I think the four of us, and Lori will be coming into this conversation, we are kind of the litmus test of like, if we're kind of your people and your vibe and your energy, it's just more of us over the weekend. This is kind of the energy, the vibe that you'll be entering into. But especially if you don't know anyone, you will be welcomed into a really loving, supportive, heartfelt group. And even if you're not intending on coming, this conversation around what you're saying, Amma, is around the courage and the bravery it takes to live in a world where we're taking our kids to soccer practice or volleyball or getting them ready for college or first grade or school supplies or taking care of an in-law or an elderly parent or whatever it is that we've been indoctrinated to care for someone else. And the bravery that each one of us goes through to say, I don't think I'm here to care for another to my own detriment. I know I used to carry around a lot of resentment because I would always overcommit and then I would feel resentful. And so that journey is such an imperative journey for us to live a thriving life. So thank you. And jumping in, Lori, just share with us anything that feels relevant. Let everyone get to know you. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Yeah, and I also appreciate being here. Amma said things about being in this group and what it feels like. And it's got these elements of fun and laughter. And also just that feeling where you let your shoulders down, that you just are like, you can relax. And I love it. It's wonderful. The thing that I think most of right now, first of all, is that to me, like a retreat is like a reset. And it doesn't have to be this huge thing. You don't have to come to LA, although we'd love to see you, but what the iterations are. You talked about somebody that doesn't know anyone. Years ago, I went on a yoga retreat. I didn't know anyone except the instructor. And I think what I had to do was trust in myself that I could be in the spaces with everyone when I needed to be, and I could also separate myself a little bit when I needed to. So, like, I'm the person that doesn't want to share a room because I need to just decompress and process, and I need that space to be separate and quiet. And I think that's a lot of the times what it is for me is just quiet, like just calm and space. And then I have clients that I'll talk to about what piece of a retreat can you bring into your daily life? Is there space near you that represents that calm and that groundedness that you just want to infuse in your life? Or is it a candle or a cup of tea? And kind of reframing those things as a retreat, as something that is taking you out of that space of doing that we, Amma and Joy and, Susie, we've all talked about, of like where we feel like we have to perform in some way, to just bringing it home and just having a moment. And if that's all it is, then that is 100% worth it. And that's your reset. And that's my framework for retreats.
I love it. And I particularly love the word reset because it doesn't lend itself to only being some big weekend traveling across the country thing. A reset can happen putting your hand on your heart and taking a deep breath before you say the next sentence to your child. A reset can happen in a moment. It can happen with a few breaths. It sometimes takes 10 minutes. It sometimes takes 10 hours. But I particularly love, and I think that's a great takeaway for everyone listening, is how often and in what ways can you practice a reset during your day? I love that you work with your clients on that idea of a reset. And I know for me, that was one of the things that assisted me to give myself permission and to make self-care be less sounding like a luxury and more of a necessity, because I didn't necessarily like the way I was showing up in my marriage and or in my parenting. I was impatient. I could hear the tone of my voice, and I could feel everybody around me walking on eggshells because they could hear the tone of my voice. And this idea of a reset, and me learning that I liked myself better when I gave myself that reset. It started from seeing my energy and its impact on my family, but really it was me owning that I wanted to show up calmer and more peaceful. And so when you were talking about reset, you said regaining that sense of calm, regaining that sense of peace, coming back to that place of neutrality and fullness. And I really appreciate that. That's why sometimes incrementally, even when you're saying you have been comfortable and you use the term separating yourself, I think that is such a good place for any of us to begin. If you're a mom and you have two little kids, and or wherever you find yourself in your life and on your journey around giving yourself permission around self-care, is the ability and willingness to separate yourself for a moment. And it can be as seemingly small as saying, I'm going to go into the other room and just change my clothes, or I need to go use the restroom. And I'm going to go into that space, even though I know any of you who are moms and you have little kids, you're going to tell me they're going to follow you into the restroom, because I've lived that. Every mom has. But it is an intentionality. It is an inner permission. Like Joy was saying, Joy, you were saying about you still feel guilty. It's clearing that space to say, not only do I deserve to, quote, separate myself from the moment, because the intention of separating ourselves is to refill ourselves. And like you're saying, Lori, to reset ourselves. So if I go into the restroom, or I go say, I'm going to go change my shirt. Yes, I have the physical behavior of changing my shirt, but my intention is to reset myself so that by the time I re-enter the space, I'm re-entering in a more calm, centered space. And sometimes that can happen when you go into a different room. And sometimes you really need to stretch and say, I need to receive. I need to ask my husband to watch my kids, because I really need to leave this space, or they really need to leave this space so I can be in the quiet for a moment, or whatever it looks like. And the last thing I'll say, and then I'll pop back to you, Amma, that I also appreciated what you said, Lori, is that it doesn't necessarily need to cost a lot of money. And I think as women, that is something for us to really take with us and remember, that it does not need to be a big production, but to the degree that we can commit to seek to make it a way of life, so that we don't get so far out of balance. But on a daily basis, more often than not, it is going to require us to ask for something from someone that we are uncomfortable asking for. Can you please take the kids? Or I am going for a walk and I'm going to actually be gone for an entire hour or 30 minutes. So I appreciate that it is a stretching of our comfort, so that we stretch our instrument to be the holder of this peace and this calm in our lives. And that, I think, is what, to speak directly around the retreat in October, that is one of our high intentions, is that the weekend is about filling ourselves. The weekend is about cleansing and shedding anything that's gotten in our way, so that we can create inner spaciousness, and we can create the energy inside so that we can most effectively receive, so that we can most effectively relax. I always say we transform the most effectively to the degree that we can be the most relaxed. And so to come to a weekend and allow yourself to relax and receive, relax and receive, relax and receive, to then transform and go back into your world, feeling at the cellular level in your nervous system, this is what it feels like to care for this beautiful being that I am. So Amma, anything about your journey that you want to share from this conversation?
Well, a lot, a lot. Thank you. What comes to mind as I'm listening to you speak is, to me, it's a matter of responsibility. I feel it's the most responsible thing that I can do for myself and for my children, is to take that time for myself. I drive a lot for my work, for my business, and every week my car is checked, the tires, the oil, anything that the car might need, for responsibility. Because when I'm in the middle of the road, I don't want to have, if something happens, it happens, but I want to take as many steps to ensure that doesn't happen. So it must apply to me. And to be quite honest, before, I'll say like 15 years ago, I never felt like having a retreat because it was so in my programming. I can't say now that I don't ever feel like it. I do sometimes feel like it, but the logic of not could outweigh it. And then I bring myself to my center and I remind myself, this is the most responsible thing. If I'm going to take a drive 400 miles, I'll do it on my car. I have to do it on me. I need to sleep. I need to eat. I need to pause. I need to rest. Come on, Amma. So I'm reparenting that part of me to know that that's the most responsible thing to do. And I try to model that to my teenage kids.
Yeah, I love the word programming that you're saying. You're aware of your own programming. I really appreciate that very much. And for everyone listening, I think this is a great moment to just turn within and just ask yourself, oh, are the deeper programmings that I have received around permission or lack thereof to take time for myself, to ask for support, to actually receive support? What has been my conditioning? What has been my programming? And to ask yourself, am I feeling a prompting? Where is the discernment between my programming and my wisdom and my intuitive mother wisdom, woman's intuition? What is my prompting? What is my heart knowing in spite of the programming? I know I'm being called to whatever that is. And so it's a wonderful moment to just ask yourself to just simply be aware and to take baby steps and baby breadcrumbs to that, whether it is 5 minutes, 5 hours, whatever it looks like, or whatever you're being called for or is being called for from within you. Joy, anything
Yes.
resonate for you?
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. So I'm like, yes. So I am thinking of two things. One, for anyone who's listening who has small kids. I don't have small kids anymore, but years ago I had twins and then a daughter 4 years older. So I had an opportunity to go do some work, some healing, and I can tell you that one of the things in my head, and I hope that I'm not the only one saying this and no one's going to be able to relate to me, because if not, I'm going to be really embarrassed. But one of the reasons that I was considering not going, okay, full disclosure, is that I thought that I was the only one that could handle my kids. I was the only one that if I'm not there with my kids, my husband is certainly not going to do it right. I can't trust anyone. And it was such a control thing, and it was a distraction to just put it off on my kids instead of taking an opportunity to, like you said, what is your programming? Like, what? I didn't have the self-awareness. I did end up going, thank goodness, because I came back such a better mom for going and doing this for myself. So, anyone who has little kids, ask yourself that question. I love that question, Alma and Susie. What is your programming? What is that belief inside of you that may be keeping you stuck for not wanting to take that small step of maybe considering going?
It's why I have so much compassion, especially for women and mothers, but I think anyone in our Western culture, men included, we are so indoctrinated to think that our worth and our sense of value comes from the outside in. And so, really, honestly, I have so much compassion and empathy for you, Joy, because I felt exactly the same way. But we're at the receiving end of an indoctrination that says you get your worth and value from being a mom.
Yeah,
And
totally.
that's where you're taught your
Mhm.
value will come from. It's external. And because you want to feel that external validation, you unintentionally create this web that says, I'm going to do it the best. And we are, of course. And no one can do it as well. And God forbid they have a fun weekend without every single thing being perfect. And I just am appreciating and have a lot of compassion and empathy for anyone who is in that particular moment, because it is a cultural indoctrination and we are taught that our value comes in. And for women who aren't moms, it's the same thing. It's how much money we make, where we are in a career. Amma was referencing her job, and many women, we're indoctrinated. That's where we get our worth and value. Men, the same. So it's a very deep cultural conditioning to ask ourselves and to make that shift that says, I am worthy because I am a being on planet Earth. I have a limited amount of time on planet Earth, and I am actually more valuable to those around me when I care for myself first. So appreciate that point. I
Susie, can I say
hope
one more
everyone
thing?
can relate. Sure, of course.
So it reminds me of something that you and I talk about often, and I hear you talk about. Imagine yourself as a mom, and imagine your child, daughter, son, and they were in that position.
Mhm.
What would you want them to do? And I often have to do that with my girls. If Sydney or Morgan wanted to go do this retreat and they were struggling with that, oh my God, I would have, like you said, the compassion. I'll be like, oh my God, go, please go do that for yourself. So that often helps me
Yeah,
too when I can't.
exactly. And
Yeah.
even thinking of you and Parker being in your
Yeah.
jammies till
Yeah.
2:30 on Saturday, and even Parker having the wisdom to say, "Oh my gosh, please, mom." We're born with that wisdom.
Yeah.
And the imprint sometimes suppresses the wisdom. But the wisdom is there. That's why I said, everybody, just ask yourself, what is your prompting? The wisdom's there, but often it does take courage and bravery to actually do it. So, Lori, any last words or anything that you would like to jump in with, share with us on your journey?
Yeah, just a couple things is that I love, Amma, your word around responsibility, that it's your responsibility, and this conversation about modeling for our kids. I think about vacations we've had where there's maybe been an element of overscheduling, and honoring the fact that a vacation actually is a time when it's great to stay in your pajamas until whatever, maybe 48 hours, who knows? But what is it that you need? And we have this programming, and what I'm hoping that I'm doing for my daughters who are late teens is showing them that they should listen to themselves for what they need. So that's the biggest thing. I mean, I just weaving together what Amma and Joy were both saying, because I definitely have that in my life. And then just the other thing, it's funny as we're wrapping up, is the thing that I think about from going from a retreat, if it's actually a place that you're going, I think about reentry. And I think you used that word, Susie, is like, what is it that you need to take back? Is there an affirmation that you heard, or is it you started meditating, or a different element of meditation, a candle, like whatever it is, what is it, thinking intentionally about what you want to take back. And just like that moment where you put your hand on your heart, it's almost like before you walk in the door, just like knowing that you're going to re-enter and honoring yourself for taking that space. and having the intention of creating it in your daily life. So that's what I think about.
Yeah, I love what you're saying about modeling, that also Amma and Joy have spoken about. And you said about honoring or modeling for your girls. I happen to be the mom of a boy, and I think the same thing. One day he will have a partner. And not only do I want him to see how important it is to care for himself, because he will show up as the best version of himself, but also, should he choose a woman, I want him to see, as a woman, a man in this world saying to a woman, please care for yourself, and that is very important to me, raising a young man. So I appreciate when a child is really going to do what they see modeled. And that is wherever you are on your journey. That is why we together are honoring wherever you are in the journey, taking those next steps, because we are modeling. And it's lovely to feel our children being the beneficiary. Ultimately, it is the beneficiary they are. I appreciate that. Any last words, Amma and Joy? Go to you
I
first,
just want to
Amma.
say thank you for doing this retreat, because it's giving me an opportunity to step away for a few days with a group of women that I just adore, and I know that they adore me. And it's a complete reset, a complete reframe, and it's going to be delicious and exquisite. So I'm so excited about it, and I would encourage any woman that's even curious to give themselves that gift. It's only a few days that you get to give back to your life. And I would see even the financial aspect as an investment. And it's got a for sure return on investment. And you will get to see that.
That's a
So
whole conversation
that's a
about
whole
us
other
women
conversation. Yes.
investing financially in ourselves. We may just need to have a follow-up conversation on women financially investing in ourselves. I'm all over that. That has been a journey for me. You reminded me also of something I wanted to say to Lori. You're sharing is, especially in our meetings on Fridays, it was a big intention of mine to have this retreat come out of our being. And so we are meeting and we are doing things towards making this retreat hit out of the park. And we have so much fun and so much connection. Often I get off of our meetings on Fridays and I feel rejuvenated just because we've connected with each other. And I want to say that the point, yes, we do hope you come to the retreat in LA in October. And if you are thinking about it, I will have our emails on the show notes so you can reach out to us. We'd be so happy to talk to you if you're even thinking about it. But what I think we want you to hear is, may your being start being the leader of your doing in your life. Even if it is that you're going to call up a girlfriend and go have lunch with a girlfriend this week, where maybe last week you would not have given yourself that permission to carve out that space and to go have a lunch. Because I look at you guys and I have so much fun on Fridays. That's my retreat on a Friday, is getting to hang out with you guys. And that's our intention, to bring that to the retreat, is the heart-to-heart connection that we have with other women and receiving. I always feel better after a conversation. I hope any of you listening, you feel better after a conversation. There's nothing better than being in conversation with women. And to that end, Joy, anything last words you want to say or share?
Just excited. Excited. I was so glad I got to be a part of the conversation with all of you today. And yes, more than happy to answer any questions for anybody. Email me. Happy to have a conversation if anybody's feeling a little scared or nervous, or questions about who Suzi Lula is. I'll be happy to share.
Or making a financial investment in
Yes.
yourself. I think we will have a follow-up
Yes.
conversation about that, because it's been a
Good.
big deal in my life. And I appreciate, Amma, you bringing it to the forefront, because I think that is a big thing that can get in people's way, is the financial investment, and it is an investment. And so we do hope that you will consider coming to the retreat in October. But either way, may your takeaway today be that when you give yourself permission to listen and be still to the promptings of your own heart, your own soul, it can't help but guide you into a direction that you will be filled from the inside out. It will guide you into the right directions. And I hope that you're getting a flavor and a taste of these beautiful friends and women and colleagues and coaches of mine, including Keno. I know you haven't heard from her today, but she's such a part of this planning. And I want to thank each one of you so deeply from my heart. I love each one of you, Amma, Lori, Joy. You are exquisite women in your own right. Come to the retreat just to hang out with these women, you guys. You enrich my life beyond measure. I love hanging out with you guys. I love getting to be with you, work with you, play with you. So thank you for being here with me, and here's to many, many more conversations to be had. Much love, everybody.
Thanks, Suzi.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Everybody
you.
listening, give yourself permission to thrive this week. Oh my goodness, I hope you all received as much as I have. I love being with these women. I hope you will all join us at this retreat to be immersed in the love and the heart of these beautiful women and my beautiful soul care community. And some takeaways for you from today. Wherever you are on your own soul care, self-care journey, beneath your conditioning is your wisdom, is your heart. Beneath any and all conditioning that you have received, there is a prompting from your heart. Start small, start where you are. Take that deep breath in, take 5 minutes, go have a walk around your block, have a lunch with your friend. If you can't have a lunch with your friend, call a friend, have 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes for yourself to receive, to remember that the journey of self-care, the journey of soul care, it is a courageous and brave act to rest, to reset, to receive, to retreat, because you are at the beginning going against a cultural indoctrination. And so give yourself some compassion, patience, gentleness. It is a process, and it is a process of bravery and courage. And lastly, we do hope that you will consider joining us in October in Los Angeles. The link is below. Whether you are a woman, a mom, a man, in this culture, we all need to give ourselves permission to come, retreat, be in a group, receive for an entire weekend, reset, and go back into all of your relationships a transformed being. So much love. Give yourself permission to thrive this week, and all of the information about the retreat is in the show notes below. We would love to speak to any of you who are interested. So much love. Thank you so much for listening. If there was something in this conversation that spoke to you, we'd so appreciate it if you would take the time to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share this episode with women and mothers you know, because you are here to thrive. See you next time.